Hello sweet friends, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the first video in my new apartment. I hope you get used to seeing videos here, and I hope you don't mind the background. The window definitely has a lot of harsh lighting, but hopefully it's okay. So if you want to see videos, I have a couple other places in the apartment that I could do some videos for you, but today I'm coming from my room. So I know you are all super excited for the apartment tour, and you were probably hoping this video was going to be the apartment tour. However, that video will hopefully be coming on Thursday. We just had a few finishing touches for the apartment, things that we needed to get and things that we just needed to hang up. So I just wanted to wait until we had some time this weekend to just organize those things and get them in order before I film our final tour for you. I'm also doing some laundry right now. It is Friday afternoon when I'm filming this. So I officially finished my first full week of classes. And I can already tell that this year is just going to be so amazing. And even some of those tougher classes that I'm not as excited for, I know that God is just going to have his hand in those. I feel much more prepared to take on this semester, just after learning the first 2 years how to really prepare myself mentally for these exams, and also just how to prepare myself in a way so that my soul is just fulfilled and I'm not run down and I don't let the exams get the best of me, because that's just never the right way to go about things. So I will definitely be doing a video soon on just how I prepare for a semester, what I do to study, what I do to stay on top of things as they are coming up, before it gets to that point where you're like, uh-oh, I have something that I need to get done. So I have some Starbucks with me today. This is in a reusable cup, but it's the brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso decaf, because anytime I order this and I don't get decaf, I feel like I'm about to shake in just out of my body. Like, I get super shaky and like anxious, and I hate that feeling. So decaf definitely for that. Like I said, if you hear any strange noises in the video, my washer is like right outside of my bedroom door. Could have planned that a little better for you all, but my apologies. So it has now been a few minutes, and I haven't told you what this video is, but I'm sure you can tell by the title. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about my RA experience, a little bit about it, just sharing what being an RA at Clemson is like. But then I'm also going to be sharing with you all just how to prepare yourself if you are an RA, some tips that I would give to RAs that are in a position right now. Also going to be sharing with students ways that you can respond and help your RA, and just kind of giving you that perspective so you can see where your RA is coming from when you go into the year. Because I know a lot of us, we think to ourselves like, oh, I just have the worst RA, she's never involved in anything, I didn't see her at any events, or, you know, ugh, my RA planned this event that I don't even like, or whatever it is. I hear the complaints. I have been a student, I've also been an RA, so I know both sides of it now, and I just wanted to provide some perspective to you as a student on how you can better serve your RA, how you can better show up in the community, and just make life easier for them, because that's very important, and that is a responsibility of us as residents on a residence hall. The RAs are here to serve you, they're here to be mentors for you, and it is up to you to utilize them. So do not expect your RA to always reach out to you if something is wrong, because we don't always know. So I am going to go ahead and get into just sharing a little bit about what an RA is, if you're not sure what an RA is on a campus. So I'll share what an RA is, what our responsibilities were specifically at Clemson, because I can't speak really to all campuses, but I do know it's going to be kind of similar as to what your responsibilities are going to be within your residence hall. So I'll just give a little background, share a little bit about my experience, and then I will get into those tips for you. And I will put a table of contents below this video, so if you want to skip the intro and just get to the tips, or if you're not an RA but you just want to understand how you can better serve your RA as a resident, you can skip to that part of the video as well. A lot of people don't really understand what an RA is or what exactly an RA's tasks are within a community. So an RA is actually a resident assistant, which is just a student who is living on the floor of a dorm room or any really campus housing. So I know a lot of the apartments on campus here, they all have RAs on every floor as well. And they're meant to serve as a peacekeeper. They're there to provide information to residents on what's going on in the community, to assist in any sort of emergency, if you needed help with any maintenance issues, if you had an emergency relating to anything at all, or if you are having roommate problems, whatever it is, we are there solely as a facilitator. We can be there as a mentor to guide you in the right direction for things on campus. If you don't know how to get involved in something, if you don't know how to get help for that test that's coming up, if you're really struggling in a class, whatever it may be, we are there to serve you, to serve the residents of the community in whatever way we can. Now, a couple other things that resident assistants do is typically you have a front desk, and that front desk is open during the day. It usually is there for students who lock themselves out of their rooms. So our desk at Clemson is open from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. I preferred to work in the morning, so I was usually there at 7:30 in the morning. And basically you just sit at the desk and you're there if anybody comes in and they have questions about something. Typically students only come in if they have locked themselves out. You just get their name, give them the temp key, they go and get their real key and bring the temp key back. It's super simple. And most of the time I would just sit at the desk and work on homework. I would read some of my scripture during that time because it was in the morning. So that you want to do, that's pretty much what you can do at the desk. And we served for 3 hours at the desk at Clemson. It might vary depending on your community or depending on your school, but for us it was 3 hours. And the resident assistant is also in charge of being on call. So the desk is open from 7:30 to 7:30, but then you need to have somebody available at night in case of an emergency, people at night in case of lockouts, because lockouts do happen at midnight, so you gotta be there, somebody has to. So that would be our job. So you rotate during the week people who are on call during the weekdays, which would be from 7:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. and then on the weekends you do 24-hour shifts, so 7:30 p.m. on Friday to 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, and then somebody else goes from Saturday to Sunday. So that would be how the weekend shifts are. And typically as an RA, how often you're serving as an on-call for on-call really depends on what community you're in and how large your staff is. So for me specifically, I was housed in the Residential Honors College, and we were dealing with a staff of 13. But we only had 11 of us because we lost some people throughout the year just due to certain circumstances. So we have 11 of us who were in charge of that entire community. So 11 of us had to cover all of the shifts for on-call for the entire semester. And that was a lot. That meant for me, I was on call usually once every weeknight and about every other weekend. And that is a lot, and that is very atypical. That has a lot to do with why I am no longer an RA. But in other communities, it's not like that at all. So in some communities, they're dealing with a staff of 24 to 42, and that makes a big difference. I know a friend of mine who said she was only on call like 7 times because they have such a large staff. So keep that in mind when you find out which community you are assigned to. A couple other tasks that RAs are responsible for. One would be all of the bulletin boards and signage posting on your hallway. So all the billboards that are creatively done are done by your RA. They usually have to come up with those pretty much all on their own. And any of the signs that you see advertising anything on campus typically go through the RA first, and then they have to post that on your hall. So they're in charge of keeping you up to date with everything, taking down old signage and all of that. They're in charge of facilitating some sort of group me or informational thing to keep you in the loop of when everything is happening inside of your community. So if you have any community events or anything like that, they are going to be constantly in there keeping you up to date of all of that stuff. And something else that I had to do, which might be specifically a Clemson thing as an RA, but But we had to do these things called Tiger Talks. So that was twice a semester. We had to meet with every single resident and fill out a Google form afterwards about our meeting, just to check in and make sure that our students were okay, and just to see if they needed any help or any guidance in a more facilitated way. And it was also meant to be kind of a teaching session. I didn't particularly enjoy that aspect of it because I just felt like I wanted to be there for my residents less as like a telling them what to do and more as just like guiding them along through life. And I will say, whenever I became a resident assistant, I had all of these hopes of just guiding freshmen through that first year, because I had a really hard freshman year and I had a really hard time adjusting to freshman year. So I wanted to be there to make it easier and to be there for students to come to me and say, you know, I'm having a hard time, and I can say, you know, me too, I was there. Let's work through that. Like, how can we help you make this a better year? How can I help you and how can I serve you? But it really was not like that at all, and it could have just been because it was a COVID year. It could have just been a lot of things, honestly, but I think it was just because we had so many other tasks that we had to do that I couldn't really get to know all of my residents on the level that I wanted to. And then your resident assistant is also in charge of planning community events or floor events. So we had about twice a semester we were supposed to plan some sort of team community events so that residents could all get to know each other on the floor. So these are all really awesome things. These are a lot of the tasks that RAs have to do. So if that is definitely something that sounds interesting to you, I would definitely recommend applying to be an RA at whatever university you're at, because I know at Clemson you do get a stipend, you get free meal plan, free housing, which is a really nice perk and a really good benefit of being an RA, but it also gives you a way to connect with community, connect with students, and all that sort of good stuff. So now I'm going to be sharing a few tips with anybody who is a current RA this semester. So if you're an RA and you clicked on this video because you are just feeling really overwhelmed, or you're not really sure how to balance being an RA with life, or you just have questions about, am I still going to be able to have a life if I'm an RA, anything like that, hopefully this will answer your questions. So one big thing is you are on call a good amount, you know, throughout a semester, but that doesn't stop you from being able to meet people. It doesn't stop you from being able to be a part of clubs. And if anything, I really think in some ways it can help you to connect with other students and get them interested in clubs. I know a lot of doors were really open for my rock club because I was an RA, so that could be a possibility for some people. And also, as far as hanging out with your friends and you think your weekends are going to be full, that sort of thing, I think it's definitely still possible. A lot of times you just have to stay within your community. So if you're just really needing community while you're on call, invite some friends over to your dorm room, have them hang out for a movie night, hang out in one of the lounges and play some games. I mean, there is a lot you can do even if you have to stay in community. But one tip that I would give is I always tried to plan my on-call weekends the weekend before I had exams. And I did that on purpose because I knew I was already going to need to be in the community that weekend because I was going to need to study. So if I was already going to be there because I was already going to be studying, might as well be on call and have to be there versus, you know, signing up to be on call for the one weekend that I don't have an exam, I don't have anything to study for, and I'm just sitting in the room, you know, in my dorm, like, what do I do? So that is another big tip. Or if you have a project coming up or something that you know you're going to need to work on that and you're going to need set time in your room, I'd recommend doing that, because you can also invite some people over to just study with you in your room. So there's a lot of options there. As for connecting with residents, I think it can be really hard, and I think sometimes I was not very good at getting to know my residents' names, and I think I started off strong and then there was a lot of burnout once the semester gets going. So what I would recommend doing is, if building community is really important to you and you really want to get to know your residents, I would recommend going ahead right now and writing into your calendar once a month, pick one date that you are gonna do something to get to know your residents. So maybe for you know, October, you pencil in one day and you just write free candy or something. And in that day, you're gonna send out the GroupMe, you're gonna invite the residents to just stop by your room to get some free candy that day. So when they stop by, you ask them their name, you ask them how their semester's going, and you just connect quickly, they move on their way. But that is building community, and it's allowing you to get to know their names, but you're not like, oh, I have so much going on, the whole semester's gone by, and I haven't talked to any of my residents, I haven't met their, you know, I haven't learned their names. And it's not weird like you going around and knocking on their doors and being like, hi, I'm your RA, like I'm just gonna introduce myself. Like that's just awkward and nobody wants to do that. So go ahead right now and plan out some times. Plan out once a month is doable. Once a month is so doable. So go ahead and pick one day each month that you think you're gonna be able to stick to something, you're gonna be able to make it happen, and do that. I know once in September I gave out free donuts if my residents did a fun little poll. So do something like that to get to know them, fill out a poll, see what they like, and then have them come by for donuts, learn their names. So do those little things and go ahead and plan ahead for them. So if that is something that's important to you, you can make it happen. As far as being on call, there's gonna be some tough things that you're gonna have to deal with. And I'm just telling you now, it's going to help you if you just don't complain about it. Don't complain about it to your other RAs, because it's just gonna kill the mood. It's gonna ruin the environment for people, and nobody likes it if they're having a positive day, they're enjoying their job, and then you come in and you just suck the energy out of it. So if you're struggling, just talk to somebody else. Talk to somebody who's not an RA, talk to somebody who doesn't live in that building. Just talk to somebody else about those concerns and about those things versus the rest of your staff. I also really recommend getting to know your staff and trying to find time to hang out with them. This was something I wish I could have been a little bit better at. I just was already doing so many things between staff meetings and stuff that I was just like, they're the last people that I want to make plans with at this point. But it wasn't because I didn't like them, because I actually really did like the people that I worked with. And I would have loved to have had the opportunity to work with them a little bit more and to plan some fun things to do together. So I'd recommend every once in a while, you know, just put in the group chat, hey, anybody going to the dining hall today? Anybody want to go grab dinner with me? And it doesn't even have to be something you spend money on, just go do something fun with those RAs. And it's hard to like plan something with everybody because people are always going to be on call, but you know, plan it on different days so you get a couple different people every time that you can get to know really well. It's kind of all the advice that I really could give just based on experience. If you have any specific questions about being an RA, definitely just put those in the comments down below and I'll be happy to answer those for you. But I do want to talk specifically a little bit to any residents that are out there. So if you are a resident, you have an RA, and at this point, if you don't know who your RA is, I recommend finding out who they are, what their name is, and where their room is located on your floor. And if they're not on your floor, are they on a different floor? Your RA wants to know you, and your RA wants to build a relationship with you, but they're not gonna come and try and pester you about it because they have so many other residents that they have to deal with. Well, I shouldn't say deal with, but that they're in charge of. So I just want you to know that we as RAs want to get to know you and build those relationships with you. So reach out to your RA and say, hey, you know, this week was kind of hard for me. Could we grab some coffee? I'd love to chat. Or, hey, I was really interested in joining this club. Do you know anything about it? Whatever your questions are, just be sure to ask your RA and get involved with your RA. If you have ideas for events, instead of complaining about the events that your RA is planning, why don't you reach out to your RA and say, hey, could we do this for an event? Because I guarantee you sometimes as an RA, you just are like, oh, this event is due in 2 weeks and I haven't planned anything and I don't have anything, and then we plan something that nobody really likes. So if there's something that you really want to do, then send a message to your RA, ask if it's possible, and mostly, probably like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a possibility unless it's like something off the walls crazy. But if it's within the guidelines of the university and it's allowed, then we're definitely going to try and make that happen for you. And it would be so much more beneficial for you if we're doing things that you want, things that your friends want to do as well. Another thing is, please show up to the event. We as RAs, like, we are working hard to plan these events. We're working hard to do all these things, and if we have a required, you know, meeting that you need to go to, or whatever it may be, instead of dragging your feet, giving us a hard time, like, we know you don't want to be there if it's some meeting, but please just show up. We'll take 10 minutes of your time max, and then we'll let you about your day. If it's an event, there's nothing worse than planning a community event and having 3 people show up. So when you put all this hard work, this time and energy into something, and you're expecting to bond with community, expecting to get to know your residents, and then no one comes. So please try and go to those events. Another big thing is, your RA might seem intimidating, but I promise you it's just a normal college student just like you. But there's gonna be times when your RA is just really going through a rough week and they just have a lot on their plate due to a lot of different things. So I just encourage you to be nice to your RA and send some encouragement their way, whether it's sliding a note under their door just to say you've got this, just to say you're thinking about them. You know, maybe it's showing up to their room because you made cookies with your friends one night and you just want to bring them a cookie. Or, you know, you got some Grubhub or DoorDash or something, and you just order some fries and you go and bring the fries to your RA. Like, whatever it is, just, you know, try and stay connected with your RA and get to know them, because they really can be a resource to you, just like a professor of a class would be, and just like you trying to get involved with professors so that you can get, you know, opportunities from that. The same can happen for you by getting to know your RAs. So I just really recommend that you just reach out to them and you begin to create those relationships, foster those relationships, and to just not view your RA as this person who just, they never did anything and they didn't reach out to you when you were having a problem or you were struggling. But like I said in the beginning of this video, as an RA, I don't know if you're having a hard time with your classes. I don't know if you're having problems with your roommate. I don't know if you are struggling because you're missing home or you don't feel like you're connected to campus. I can't help you if you don't tell me that you're struggling with these things. So please reach out to your RA if you're struggling with anything and tell them, let them know, and I guarantee you they will be more than happy to help you with that. So just know that they are there as a resource, and be sure to give them grace, because they are people, they are students, they have classes and other tasks involved with this job. So just know that they are human. Give them a little grace if they don't respond to you right away, a little grace if something doesn't seem to work out the way you thought it would. Just know that they are trying their best and that they're just people, they're students. So just like you, they have been in your shoes, they have been a resident, but they also just have things to do. So that is all I have today for this video. So I hope that you learned something from this, whether you are a resident in a community or if you're an RA. I hope you learned something as well. Like I said, if you have questions on either end of this scenario, please feel free to drop those in the comments below. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up. And if you want to learn anything else or want more RA videos, put that below as well. I hope to have a lot of videos coming out to you this semester, so please get excited about that, because I know that I am so excited to serve this community in new and exciting ways this semester. But just remember, as always, to go out there and live boldly, fearlessly, and authentically you. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.